According to 93.7 The Fans, Andrew Filipponi, the Pittsburgh Steelers, per sources, have some interest in former New York Giants quarterback Daniel Jones. And I missed the quote, but I'll pull it up right now because the quote is very interested in Daniel Jones-esque. Quote, the Steelers could do a lot worse than Jones. You want to talk about a backhanded compliment and also the perfect way to illustrate exactly what that signing would be. It is that. Yeah, you could do a lot worse than Daniel Jones. Sure. You could probably do a lot better too. And I don't mind Daniel Jones. I think if you're at a spot where you're thinking about Kirk Cousins or Daniel Jones, take a shot on Daniel Jones. You know, go get the guy that's 27 years old and say, screw it. Let's just see. Let's see if it works out. I don't think that he came into the NFL with the ability to be the 5th pick in the draft or whatever he was. I still don't think he stands there, but I still think he's 27, or I know he's 27. And because of that, I'll take a shot on him. Sure. Fine. If that's where you're going. The big question here is, because I know everybody is screaming to all heavens right now, don't sign Daniel Jones. I get it. I agree. Which of the veterans are you putting Daniel Jones over, though, if there is actual interest?
I'd put him over Kirk Cousins right now because I agree with you there. I'd honestly put him over Aaron Rodgers right now.
Because what about Russ? Not Russ?
No, I'd still take Russ over Daniel Jones next year. I mean, I wouldn't be happy with either scenario, but I would take Russ over Daniel Jones. This makes the most sense to me if we did not know what we just talked about with Justin Fields. If you bring in Daniel Jones as Justin Fields' backup, it makes all the sense in the world, because I just go back to what Art Rooney said to you. He said, we want a quarterback room that has a similar skill set. And when you're looking for backup options behind Justin Fields, Daniel Jones does make a lot of sense, and it would make sense that the Steelers would have interest in Daniel Jones. But as a starting quarterback in 2025, he's low on that list. Yeah, he's below a guy like Russell Wilson simply because you know what you get with Russell Wilson, and I think that level's just a little bit higher than Daniel Jones. But considering what we've said about Russ, where do you think that puts Daniel Jones and what he can bring to the Pittsburgh Steelers? So when I see this more as a guy that would fit as a backup well, but if you're looking at him as a serious starter, then you're probably looking at a top 5, top 10 pick in the 2026 NFL draft.
So when you said similar skill set, my just very terrible mind went, first round quarterbacks that are looking for a new starting job, huh? That's the one. That's the similarities there. I agree. I think as a backup, it'd be phenomenal. Be a great move. I also think there's an argument to be made for Rodgers or Daniel Jones. I think you could still make the, like, Rodgers might have one last go left in him. I don't think he does, but I'm sure there are some people in the NFL that feel that he could. And because of that, there's an argument to me. Like, Daniel Jones is not a shot. You're not taking a risk on Daniel Jones. You're signing Daniel Jones because you're just saying we have nothing left. You know, we avoided the situation for too long. We messed up. Again, I revert everything to Madden, and it's a terrible way to do things, but you're doing a fantasy draft in Madden or your regular fantasy football league, and it's round 11, and you went, all right, I got 4 wide receivers and no quarterback. This is not okay. And that's where you're picking there, is you're taking a shot on Daniel Jones, and that's what the Steelers would be looking at. Terrible. I'll ask you this then to wrap up this conversation. You think that there's really any interest in Daniel Jones?
I think if they sign Justin Fields, I think there is legitimate interest as a backup. That's literally where I'm at. When I see this, I understand that a lot of people don't like when Pony puts stuff out, because a lot of the time it feels like he's throwing stuff against the wall to see what sticks. But this one makes sense as a backup. Pony didn't put that in his tweet, but if that's what the actual interest is for, then it does make sense. But I don't know if Daniel Jones has come to that conclusion yet. If he's come to terms with the fact that he's probably not a starting quarterback, even when there's no other really good options on the open market. So if he's come to terms with that, yeah, it makes sense as a backup option. It makes sense as somebody that could battle it out with Skylar Thompson to see who gets a helmet on Sundays, but it doesn't make sense to be under center for snap 1 of 2025.
Oh gosh, battle it out with Skylar Thompson. How the first round pick has fallen. That's terrible. I could agree with that. I think there's an actual shot that the word backup was either not included in the conversation, which is a possibility, or
Slightly omitted by the person that posted it.
Yeah, not in the tweet for ran out of characters, couldn't fit it in, had to get what you could. You just never know. But I agree. I think as a backup, it works. I think the Steelers will give him a call at least. I really do, especially if a week goes by and nobody has signed Daniel Jones. I bet you he starts negotiating as a backup and the Steelers try to bring him in. I could also see Daniel Jones coming in as like quote unquote competition for Russell Wilson or quote unquote competition for Justin Fields, something like that, where Mike Tomlin says stuff like pole position and, Daniel Jones hasn't been around long enough to figure out what that means. So I could see that. I could see that as a possibility. Either way, it pissed a lot of people off this afternoon. I got a lot of emails about this.